My name is Raven Crisp. I serve as the president of Self Hand Foundation. Courtney, you want to introduce yourself?
I'm Courtney Mason. I serve as the Community Relations and Vice President for Selfless Hands. And that's just
Awesome. And then today we have Janee Culpepper. She is going to be our speaker talking about just financial literacy and how she's been going through these times as a human being, so that we can just start gauging into the conversation that a lot of us try to stray away from. So if you can introduce yourself and tell us about you.
Yes. So, hey everybody, my name is Janee Culpepper. I am a financial coach for financial healing for women, where my focus within my organization is helping you live abundantly. So, I teach biblical principles and technical practices when it comes to your money to help you live an abundant life, the abundant life that God says that we all can have. So that's a little bit about what I do. I host conferences, sessions, and I also have one-on-one coachings with women that is designed to help them go through the process, budgeting, paying off debt, and getting their whole entire lives together.
Awesome. So what got you into that? Can you tell us a little bit about your story?
Yeah, so in 2013, um, I just made a pretty drastic decision. I was pretty young, about 23 or so at the time. I worked at a bank. I always knew that I was going to have a business. I've always had that mindset, but I just didn't know what. And so early on, I made some pretty drastic decisions. So in this instance, I quit my full time job because I had just finished taking my real estate exam. I felt like I was gonna get out in the world, sell a couple houses, be on top of the world, and that didn't happen. So I quit my job, went full time. I had enough money saved up for about 3 more months. Um, and then on the way, I picked up another business. I was just really motivated, just a little bit too motivated. And by the time December 31st came, I will never forget it. I went home for Christmas break. I'm from Los Angeles, California, and I had nothing, like literally like $0 in the account. At the time, I had about $7,000 in credit card debt. Not from doing anything crazy, just from paying for business expenses and things like that. When you run a business, it costs money to put in the business so that you can get the investment out of it. So I had about $7,000 and I just kind of sat there like, oh Lord, what am I going to do? You know, I was depressed. Like 30 pounds lighter because, I was trying to do whatever I could do to get a meal. And I just realized at that moment, I got real centered and I turned to the Lord and I was just like, okay, listen, I messed up. What did I do? And I specifically remember saying like, you need to get in order. And because I knew where I was in that season, I knew what that meant. I needed to get a job, be able to just put groceries in my house and put gas in my car so that I can um, go to church, just little small things that I wanted to do. And so I went through a little journey looking for a job. It took me a couple of months. I ended up finding one. And by that time, I was about $10,000 in credit card debt. And so just that season of life where it was just tough and I had to learn how to get myself out of that pit. So I picked up a book, I picked up a resource, and I started reading it. I started learning about budgeting because my whole mission was I knew that God was like, you put yourself in this situation, you're gonna have to figure out what you need to do to get out. I'm gonna be here to help you, but you need to put things in motion so that you can get out of this. And so got a job, downsized my whole entire life, literally from my phone bill to my apartment to every little penny that I could save. And I started paying down the debt. I was only getting paid $10 an hour at the time. So it was a struggle. thankfully, I got a new job a year after that, got promoted again. And all these little like small pieces of money just came out of nowhere, because at that time I made the decision, it was either I was going to drown in this or I was going to get out of it. And so I went on the journey to pay it all off within 2 years, less than 2 years, it was completely paid off. And that's what started Financial Healing for Women, figuring out how to do it on my own and then figuring out how to teach other women to do the same thing. And so that's it.
I didn't know if Courtney was about to ask a question or not, but
I was. So when you made the jump from the $7,000 to $10,000 debt, like you, besides depressed, like what motivated you besides just the jump of, was it just a jump of the debt, or was it just like circumstances or anything else in like that moment?
Motivated me to pay it off?
Yes.
Listen, I was in such a bad place because I was acting out of disobedience and I knew it, so I didn't have a job. So I would have like little house showings every now and then, things like that. I finally had a deal that I went through, and I think I got like $5,000 from selling that house. But by the time I still had bills to pay and, everything was gone. And so that money went quick. But what it was really like shame. It was the shame. I didn't want to feel that shame anymore, and I went to college. It's not like I don't have a degree, I it's not like I've been in this situation before.
Mm-hmm.
And so it wasn't something that I was going to allow myself to sit in. And I think I just have that mindset, like, okay, sis, you've messed up. Like, you messed up, and I've already gotten the instruction of get it in order, And sometimes God is not going to tell you every step. He's just going to tell you, hey, you need to figure this out, because I didn't do this to you. I didn't tell you to do that. So it was just a pure motivation, and that shame, waking up every single morning and literally going to the living room. And I'm like, okay. It's not like now I got a job, I'm going to the living room. It's like sit there and figure out my life. So yeah.
Right.
That's real. So what do you think gets our community in trouble when it comes to, getting into debt and marinating in it, and just not doing anything about it? Like, what do you think gets us there to that point?
Honestly, a portion of it is not knowing, because we aren't taught about financial literacy in high school. I didn't learn about it until college, but mostly I would watch my mom, and my mom would sit with a pad, and she was a numbers lady. So she had property and stuff that she owned, but she would literally just write down numbers all day. I would see her calculating and subtracting and figuring that out. So, but still no one taught me, right? So I think a lot of it is just lack of education in our communities about it. Our moms and dads, they don't know about it really, so they don't teach us, So I think a part of it is just that we didn't grow up in that vein. And if you see a lot of our other people that don't look like us, that know about money, businesses, and how to increase, they've grown up around it. So I think that's a part of it. And then honestly, another part of it is just avoidance, right? We want to look the part. We want to look like we got money and look like stylish and, be on the gram, flexing and all of that. But really we are struggling, and we just don't want to ask for help. And we don't want to be humbled to the point of, oh man, I got to take all this stuff away. We don't think about the investment that is going to be in the future for our future. So there's a lot of different reasons, mindset, but those two will probably be the biggest ones I can think of right now.
I definitely can agree with that, because as you know, I'm going through my own, debt freedom payoff thing, and it really is mental. you know. And I think when you get to a point where you're sick and tired of sacrificing things like not like your peace of mind, you
Yes.
know, people fail to realize like, man, it is so possible to lose your peace of mind and go into a depression behind finances, you know, and you're digging yourself in a hole, and the bigger the hole gets, the less than possible, if you know, the less possible it seems to pay off this debt. And you know, we start digging into credit, you know, digging into, you know, trying to purchase homes, and you know, following the standards we see everybody else doing, like, oh, you know, they're buying a home, they're doing this, and I want to do that, but you can't do that when you ain't got your ducks in a row, you
Yeah.
know. So it's real, like, you know, your mindset is important, because if your mind isn't ready to be free, you're gonna keep doing the same stuff over and over and over again.
Yeah. And that's what I preach to my clients, because before we even get into talking about their budget and their debt and all of that, like, we have to tackle mindset. We got to tackle the heart. We have to tackle, what your why is. Why do you even want to do this? Because you can pay off all of that and get back in debt.
Right,
Or, you can put all these practices and do it for 6 months and then go back to your old ways. It's going to make you not do that.
right. That
Yeah.
is real. That is so real. I just wish that this conversation was something that was normalized. You know, like, we can freely talk about that and not have that feeling of feeling judged if the next person have it together and we don't. You know, because that's why we tend to stay silent. You know, we don't want to talk about it, but it's like, you do talk about it, you'll find that the next person have a lot of tips. You
Right.
know, like, for me, I had to do away with Hulu, and you know, I had to get on somebody else's Netflix. I had to go ahead and cut off, you know, everything else and just get Wi-Fi only. You know,
Yeah.
just because that stuff adds up. Like, every month, you know, that stuff adds up, and you know, it's cooking instead of eating out all the time. Maybe just having one day that, you know, you treat yourself to grocery store run and get ice cream after. But like, I used to brunch every day. I used to go to the Hatch or every other place every single day. And that's $100 a week minimum.
Uh-huh.
Like, a week. You know, then you think you rich on the weekends for some reason. You know, so then on a Saturday, Sunday, that's $200 depending on what all you're doing, and don't let you feel the need to go shopping. That's already $500 that you out of, that you can't make back unless you're gonna, you know, get a part-time job or, you know, Uber, Lyft or whatever. But that's $500 gone that you could have had towards your debt. And
Right.
once I learned that, I had to learn the hard way though, and
I think
I
we all
really wish that was not it. But like, it's the only way you learn sometimes, when you bump your head.
is the best teacher. It was for me. And like you said, I have a lot of people that are saying, oh, Janee, I just don't make enough. I just don't have enough coming in. And it's like, I'm like, that's absolutely not true. What are you spending? Like, where is the money going? What, print out your bank statements and highlight the top 3 areas that you've been spending on. I'm pretty sure there's an extra $250 something there that you could have done. It's just a matter of being disciplined, having a budget. I mean, people hate the word budget, but
Mhm.
It's like the second other this B word. Okay, listen.
I used to run from budget.
I
They'll
don't
say
like that.
budget.
I mean, it's so much,
What?
but I mean, okay.
Right.
I
I don't
get
know
it.
if yeah,
It seems like you're putting yourself on a punishment when you do a
cause you,
budget. You know, and in the beginning, like,
Get
it's
it.
so strict. You're like, what? I only got $100 to play with.
what
Where
I'm
that
supposed
other $300 I used to spend go?
to spend.
It doesn't have to be. It's an action plan. Like, you telling your money where you want it to go. It's just, you have to like, think about, like, okay, what are my needs and what are my wants? It's okay to have some things that you want, just within reason, right? Within what
Right.
makes sense and where you're trying to go. And a lot of people don't like budget because they don't know what the end goal is. Well, if you know
Mhm.
what the end goal is, then you know where your money should be going and what you need to do to get it. But I mean, if you do want to have, your goal is you want to have a little extra money to spend so you can do X, Y, Z, then there you go. Center your budget around that. But
Right.
if for long term, wealth and you want to invest or whatever it is that you want to do, you can reward yourself. And I teach my clients, reward yourself. I don't want you sitting here in a slump. Like, that's not fun.
Cause I'm just saying, it's stuff out there I need to buy too. Okay, listen, my heart
A lot of
desires
shopping.
so much.
The first thing I told God, I said, listen, but I got to get these eyebrows done. I'm not kidding.
You see me right now with these nubs? I'm not like this. Jesus, we're gonna have to figure out this budget to get this nails.
Right.
The budget, because I can't be walking around looking crazy. Now I walk around looking crazy today, but I got a little feeling going on. But it's okay.
Crazy work.
We had an agreement.
That's real. So, in your opinion, with your experience and knowledge, how can we benefit from this pandemic financially?
Honestly, I see more hope during the pandemic, especially, most people are transferring to working from home, right? You have every opportunity to save and to put money towards debt, things that you haven't been able to do because you've been stuck in the hustle and bustle of things, you can now do, right? So like we're cooking at home. We are not having to spend a bunch of money on gas. You're not having to show up at everything. You don't got to get a gift such and such. And, so all of that extra money, that's an opportunity for you to put it in a place that's going to propel you forward in whatever your goal is. So if that's paying off your debt or saving or investing in something, a lot of people are starting businesses now. This time has afforded them to put those extra funds towards that. But also it's a time to slow down and to get everything in order. So we haven't been able to do that because we've been running around like chickens,
Right.
create a net worth statement. And people, if you don't know what a net worth statement is, it's just all of your assets, anything that you have cash on hand, money in the bank account, real estate that's actually created.
Investments.
And then the negative things, car notes. Our people, we feel like having a car payment because it's done up our credit is a good thing. No, it's not. It's another bill. And so it's a good time to get everything in your face and see what you're working with so that you can start creating a plan moving forward, to put yourself in a better position. So I see nothing but positive. I think I've saved, I'm just being honest, and it's not to brag, I've saved more money in this month than I have all year.
Wow.
Because I've been, running around paying for things, and um, the money that I was paying for gas and all that, like it's
Yeah.
now my savings account. So if you don't have a emergency savings, it's a perfect time to start one. We spend a lot of excess money on things because we don't prepare. So like when you have a car, making sure your tires and stuff is in the state, oil changes, all that stuff saves your car, which in the future can be a big expense. So it'll allow you the time to get a lot of things in order, save you some money in the future.
Right. I've actually saved a lot on gas. I've been going $15 worth of gas every 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And then just, that lasts me for a while. I'm really honestly hoping that we can stay working from home as long as possible because I have a need to get my hair done. I've
Yeah.
been saving money on that. Like, I really think that this all was a blessing, you know. And even with us getting a stimulus check, at least some of us they got a stimulus check. That was, the opportunity as well
Yeah.
to, really benefit and take a breath. And for those paying off their debt, at least for me, I used that on that, and probably, just it was like a breath of fresh air, and I was like, I just feel like this is really not really a bad time for myself. Like my family, we've all been as safe as we can be. So health-wise, we've been good, but financially, it's been a breath of fresh air, and I love it.
I would even say the reality is everyone is working, everyone is in that working from home, and some people are essential and they have to go everywhere. But for people who aren't, this is just like a time to get really clear, because no one has ever been through this before. And I'm sure 90% of America, the people, we weren't ready for this. No one has set themselves up. Not many people have set themselves up to have an emergency savings and to have a system together where their bills are already paid. I know people that pay their bills up for 6 months. We're not doing that because we're not thinking like that. So this is a time to reestablish our thoughts and say, okay, if this was to happen again, what could I do differently so that I'm like just stuck,
Yeah. That is so real. Trying to think, what is another question I have for you right now? I really try not to prepare questions, only because I really like to see how, what the flow of the conversation can be in this moment. And I think right now, currently, the only thing I can think about is really, what do you think we can do for our community, at least because like there's a lot of us who may not be super into financial, literacy, but we get the gist of it. We know it's important.
right?
We still want to help people. What can we do to help people in our community understand, financial literacy? What are some of the resources that we can give, or some of the basic tips, I would even say?
Well, I think getting them to a community already doing it is a plus. There's tons of financial communities that, like, I have one on a Facebook group called Financial Healing Sisterhood. It's a free group. There's always people in there sharing tips, best practices, what they're doing, just to kind of get their minds in a place where someone is already doing this and they can see it and they can be a part of it. So sharing other people's communities, getting them connected, introducing them to people, and encouraging them to get help. Like, at the end of the day, there's help everywhere. Amazon, there's tons of books. There is someone always giving them some type of free budget, free resource, but really pointing them in a direction of people that it's like a safe place that they can talk to, that's not going to make them feel less than, because we've all been there. Get them plugged in.
We have all been there. What if we currently there and trying to get out of there? Like, do you have specific tips for, especially during COVID, for us to practice? For those who are like, I'm not literate in finances. I want to be, but I'm scared. Like, just some small few tips or something.
The best tip is to write everything down. So literally just get a piece of paper, write down what you have to pay for every single month, your rent, your car, all of that. Write down everything that's flexible, meaning like things that change on a monthly basis, like your electric, gas, things that kind of fluctuate. And then write down everything that's extra, right? And start to work down the extra. Work it down and get all of the things that you don't really need out, right? And then start to plan around that. So that's always the first step. Write it all down, get it on paper. Anything that's not a want, anything that's not a need, write it down. And then anything that's that you need, but you're overspending in it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start figuring out ways we can shave that down. Insurance, a lot of people are paying so much money for insurance, don't even know what you're paying for. Like, start calling those companies and asking questions. Do I need this? Do I really need this? You know, and figuring out if what you can decrease.
Right. What are your thoughts on the snowball method?
Absolutely. Encourage it 100%. It's actually what I did to pay down that 10,000. I love the snowball method because you see emotional relief. Money is emotional, right? What you do with your money shows what you love and enjoy, and that's why it's so emotional. The snowball effect is the most, you see the most success from that plan because you get that emotional relief really quickly because you're paying a big lump sum of money on the smallest debt. So small debt is done, then you're taking that large amount that you were already spending on, putting it on that next debt, and it just keeps rolling. That amount keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger until it's all knocked out.
Right.
I love it. I would encourage everybody to do it. There's another one called the avalanche. A little bit harder because you don't see that emotional relief, so people don't have as much success with it. And then there's also a challenge method, which that I actually created where I will challenge myself to save a certain amount of money. And then as soon as I've hit the challenge, I'll dump it on something.
That's exactly what I currently do. I kind of did all three of those. I did the snowball method with some of the smaller stuff. And then once I started getting to the bigger stuff, I paused on some of the smaller stuff that didn't have no interest, like fee on it. And then it was also like smaller payments. So I was like, okay, I can make those smaller payments. Now I started tackling the bigger stuff. So like my tax refund went on, the bigger amounts went on that. And then it seemed like it was a relief knocking out the small ones, then getting to the big ones. And then it was a relief knowing that if I can drop this much on the big ones, the smaller ones ain't nothing.
Right.
So then I started getting to a point where I was like, okay, I'm gonna raise this much amount of money. I'm gonna like have this much saved up and everything, and then I'm gonna drop that on it. And then it's like I go back and forth. So finally, I just cleared all my little ones, so I'm on my one big one. But it just seems like something that I realized when it comes to this debt freedom thing. It's really a game if you really want to make it. Like the
It's so
funner you make, literally, it's fun because you have control over it. You can't blame Billy Joe Bob for it. Like you created that day, and now it's you to do it. So
yeah.
you better play the game right.
That is a golden nugget because you are so right. It's a game, and I'm a person, I like to hit goals. And if I write it on a paper, oh, you better believe that thing's going to happen because if I don't hit that goal, I'm gonna be upset.
Right.
So that's why I encourage people, write it down. You got to write it down because you have to hold yourself accountable. You
Yeah.
have to see it, and if you feel it and it hurt, you need to feel it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's the only way that you're gonna make a change.
Yeah. So do you ever feel guilty? Sometimes like you decide to spoil yourself and you find yourself counting dollars where you're like, oh man, that's been okay.
Um,
That game strong.
no, I want to say no because I'm not a big spender. And
Okay.
if I'm honest with y'all, the Lord is good, and I barely ever have to pay for anything. And that's why I say, like, abundance is real. And so when you get in alignment and you get clear on what you're trying to do, it's just like little stuff is always coming. Like I want some AirPods, like all the little stuff people think like, oh, no, this stuff is free. Like I'm not paying for these things. And so I don't ever feel bad. I'm a planner, so I have what money I have left, and I'm gonna treat myself if I want to. But I really rarely spend anything like over $200. I'm honest.
I need to do that. I realize my biggest downfall is I spend the most money on payday. And then once Friday's over with, then I'm good. I don't want to spend nothing. It's like literally payday. I'm like, let's go get ice cream. Let's go to the store. Let's do this. And then by the end of it, I'm like, I could have waited until next week when all my bills cleared. You know, I still make sure I have money for bills, but it's just like still like, why do I have to spend money when I get it?
I think it's that gratification, like, oh, I've worked this whole 2 weeks, but that's fine. Like, as long as you are budgeting and you have that money set aside, that's for you to do whatever you want. If you have your entertainment portion and you want to save $100, $200 towards that, if you're able to do that, then that's okay. Don't feel bad about it. You can't allow yourself to be discouraged. It's a process, right? This whole thing is a process. So it's your budget. You treat your budget however you want to treat your budget. If you don't feel good about what you're doing, then maybe change it up. Switch it up.
Switch it all the way up.
That is so real. Man, you have anything, Courtney, you want to ask?
So, okay, after I reach my goal and I've bought what I want and needed, and I still have that little bit of lingering debt that I kind of forgot about from like 8 years ago, and it's in a collection agency. Is there like some tips you could give me for battling, or shall I say reaching out to the collection agency? Because what if I gotta jump through like 5,000 hoops just to, I just want to pay the bills so I can make sure all my debt is cleared.
Yeah. So the first thing, because collection agency, they're a little fickle, because as soon as they sell it, the company is completely different, right? So you should be able to get in contact with that company. What you could do is,
Bless you.
thank you. You can reach out to like a company or someone that does credit repair, and they can do it for you.
Okay.
I work for a credit repair company, and that's what they do. I won't say names on here, but they reach out to the creditors, try to track them down. Their whole goal is to work to get the item removed, but they can also direct you to who do I need to call to pay. So people that's their specialty, they should be able to help you with that.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't have no other questions right now. Unless you want to, reconcile all of my debt. I mean, it ain't nothing but like $7. But still, if you want to come help me, girl, I take it.
You got this.
Are there such thing as program that will actually help with that? Like debt assistance?
I mean, if I'm honest, they're gonna charge you. So
Right.
Yeah, you're much better
well.
just creating your own plan, writing it down and figuring out what you need to put towards it. The only other thing is bankruptcy. I won't get into the details of that, but even that you have to you have got to pay to do that.
Yeah.
So
And at
like
that point, you might as well do it yourself.
you might as well do it yourself. All of bankruptcy is for a lot of people. They're just trying to find shortcuts. I'm gonna do this quickly. Here is the reality. You've gotten a lot of debt. There's no way to do it quickly. You have to go through that the motions of just getting it paid down and being disciplined. And it's hard, but there is light at the end of the tunnel if you just do the work.
Right.
I'm doing my work.
Do you have any suggestions on student loan forgiveness opportunities that are actually legit?
When you say legit, what do you mean? Because there's a ton of them. They're all pretty much the same.
Okay.
I go through, because I have student loans, I go through federal student aid. I believe it is.
Okay.
And they're all the same. You know, you got to pay on your debt for about 20 years. And then after 20 years, then they'll look at for forgiving you. But you have to be literally, it has to be a payment every single month in order to qualify. And the thing with those forgiveness programs is um, if you missed a payment at all and it went delinquent, you don't qualify for a lot of those programs. So I would just call and just kind of see. But from what I've researched, that's the consistency between all of them. Can't miss a payment. You can't be delinquent. If you do, you don't qualify because it's almost like a trust thing. They don't trust you to be able to put you in that program because some of them also give you little kinks, like they'll decrease your percentage amount.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah. So if I would suggest for anyone who's young, like in their 20s, like to do it now, because by the time you get 40 something, 50, your forgiveness will be completed. You don't plan to just like knock it all out and try to pay it off yourself, and forgiveness is the route you want to go, start now.
Okay.
I think that is all the questions I have. Courtney, you have any questions?
No, because my next question is, are you available next week so we can continue this conversation in a little bit more depth?
Sure. So yes, and I have a community on Facebook that those of you who are listening, you guys can join. It's called Financial Healing Sisterhood. And it's just a community where everyone is pretty much trying to reach a goal. They've either been to one of my seminars or my sessions, or they're one of my clients. And everyone in there has the mindset to reach whatever their financial goals are. So we share a lot of best practices, tips, testimonies, things like that. So Financial Healing Sisterhood, I'll put it in the live and you guys can join that. And yeah, I forgot what your other question was.
That's awesome. Well, Courtney has another question. Home ownership versus renting. What is your opinion on that?
It just depends. It just depends on the person and where you are in your financial journey. So if you still have tons of debt, you know, one of the things that lending institutions are going to look at is how much debt you have. Mm-hmm. So if that debt is also affecting your credit score, then you may want to wait until you have your debt decreased a little bit more before you go and buy a house, because that's just another debt. A lot of people shun renting. I don't know why, you know, because you want to save as much money as you possibly can before you get to that steps. When it comes to finances, there's a flow to it, right? So you have to be ready before you flow into the next portion. I'm actually starting to look for a home, but it's only because I don't have any more debts.
Right.
Loans, you know. So it's fine at that point to do it. But I would suggest you just continue to rent until you get all the debt paid down. If you are going to buy, you need to get with your realtor and make sure it's something that's going to create value for you. But just because you're buying a home doesn't mean it's a good money move.
Right.
Period. And so just make sure that it's going to create value and actually be an asset to you and not just a liability in the future.
That is so real, because people talk about, oh, now you might as well buy a home, but then even looking into the process of home ownership, you got to start off with money before you can do that. You know, with rent, they just need you to have first month of rent and your deposit. Boom, that's it. But going into buying a home or even building a home, from what I was saying, it's like you dang near need to already have over like almost $10,000. Like just to be able to get everything you want to get, and it's a lot. Like I agree with you. I rather just rent, save my coins until I can build my own home. Honestly.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, real estate is one of the best investments, but you just have to make sure that it's the right investment, and that you're ready for that because there's no maintenance.
yeah, it's just you.
Right. It's just
Something go wrong, you don't call the next person. Hey, this is broke. You got to come up with that.
right.
You know. So, whew, it's like, are you ready for that? And that's why I had to ask myself a lot. It's like, okay, let's get this debt tackled, and then I may even tackle my car payments after that. But I'm not really in too much of a rush to hurry up and pay off the car payment. I'm really taking my time with that, and then if I can pay it off, cool. But I've always just been taught not to rush it. Go ahead and have that what they call it, the age of credit or whatever.
Right.
So
Yep.
just doing that.
Yep. And there's tons of what they call them new home buyer programs. But if I'm honest, if your credit score isn't in a good position, it's sometimes it may not be worth it just because you want a home, you want to hurry up and get it. The interest rates are going to be way higher. You got to be way more money. Your terms aren't going to be as good. So patient, go through the process, and you'll have it in due season.
Right. This was awesome. Do you have any last tips you would like to share with the community who's tuning in?
Um, No, I do want to say, make sure that you do check out Financial Healing for Women Sisterhood Facebook community group. Also, I have a coaching program called the Abundant Living Coaching Program, and it'll be launching soon. And if you want more information, just send me a DM. You can email me, um, and I can answer any questions and see if you're the right fit, and I can work with you one on one.
That is awesome. Yes. Make sure you check out Janee. This was awesome. We all thank you. Thank you for joining us. It's definitely appreciative. So
Thank you
we
so
would
much.
yes, we'll definitely make sure we plug in those things when we promote this, and we'll send you the video so you can share this as well. And we will definitely look forward to catching up with you again so that we can, have this conversation maybe in person, and can really get the people, at least for sure on the east side of Oklahoma City, more aware of their financial status and wanting to do better. But you can only do what you know. So as long as people are willing to know better and learn more, then we can all do better as a community.
For sure.
We
Thank you
appreciate you.
for all of your efforts. It's not an easy thing to do things, in my opinion, in the community, and it's free. And I feel like sometimes a lot of people don't take free seriously. But
Mhm.
I thank you for continuing on the path, and people are seeing your organization, they see what you're doing, and keep it up because it's amazing and they need it.